Have you ever sensed that someone no longer values you, even though you haven't changed? As we grow older, this experience becomes more common than many expect. Friends stop reaching out, family no longer seeks your advice, and even little things, like a missed birthday or unnoticed silence, can cut surprisingly deep. But here's something important to remember. Your value doesn't fade just because others overlook it, and you don't need to argue, explain, or demand attention to prove your worth. In this video, we'll explore 7 simple yet effective strategies older adults can use when they feel undervalued. These aren't about manipulation or payback. Instead, they're subtle shifts in behavior and mindset that help others naturally recognize your importance, often without a single word being spoken. From choosing how you invest your time to confidently pulling back your energy from people who no longer appreciate it, each approach is meant to help you feel empowered again. These small actions can quietly reshape how others interact with you, and more importantly, how you view yourself. Make sure to watch through to the end. We'll reveal one especially powerful mindset change that can not only restore your sense of self-worth, but also positively influence how others treat you. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, consider doing so now and tap the notification bell. This space is here for you, for those who are still growing, evolving, and becoming stronger with each chapter of life. Now let's dive in. Step 1. Quietly withdrawing your energy. One of the clearest indicators that someone no longer appreciates you is when your presence starts to feel like an afterthought. They respond less often, cancel plans without explanation, or stop checking in. Most people react by trying harder, reaching out more, asking if something's wrong, or putting in extra effort to stay connected. But those with self-awareness take a different route. They pull back gently and quietly. This isn't about anger or emotional distance. It's about stepping away with quiet dignity. You stop initiating every conversation. You stop offering help where it's no longer acknowledged. You create space, room for yourself to remember your own worth without needing external validation. This subtle withdrawal often speaks louder than confrontation. People tend to notice when consistent energy disappears. When someone who was always available steps back, their absence becomes noticeable and often deeply felt. This approach is rooted in a psychological truth. When something is always available, it's easy to take for granted. But when it becomes scarce, its value increases. Take Carl, for instance, a 72-year-old who regularly helped his neighbor with errands and small tasks. Over time, the neighbor's tone shifted. Fewer thank yous, colder interactions. Rather than making a scene, Carl simply stopped doing favors. He focused on his daily walks, hobbies, and garden. 3 weeks later, the neighbor knocked, concerned. "Haven't seen you around. Everything okay?" Carl smiled, responded kindly, but didn't go back to doing everything. That's the beauty of this shift. By stepping back without resentment, Carl allowed the other person to realize his value on their own. Whether they return or not doesn't matter, because Carl already won. He stopped chasing someone who no longer saw his worth and started reclaiming it for himself. Step 2. Treat your time as precious. As we age, our time becomes more valuable, not less. Yet one of the most common signs that someone no longer values you is how casually they treat your time. They arrive late, cancel without notice, or assume you'll be available with nothing better to do. But here's a truth that many older adults overlook. When you begin to respect your time, others will start to do the same. It begins with small, intentional changes. Stop adjusting your plans to accommodate people who don't plan ahead. Stop saying yes out of obligation or guilt. Instead, let your actions show that your time matters, that your schedule isn't up for grabs, and that your presence has weight. Consider Tom, a 78-year-old grandfather who babysat for his son's kids several times a week. He loved the time with his grandkids, but the frequent last-minute requests and lack of appreciation became draining. One day, Tom simply said, "That doesn't work for me anymore." He wasn't angry or harsh, just honest. His son was initially caught off guard, but over time he started to call ahead, express more gratitude, and respect Tom's time and boundaries. Tom didn't lecture or demand anything. He just stopped offering his hours so freely. And that quiet shift made a powerful statement. When you begin to guard your time the way you would your finances, people start taking it seriously. They realize that if they want to be part of your life, they need to show up on time, plan ahead, and treat your hours with the respect they deserve. By valuing your time, you're not only setting boundaries, you're reminding yourself and others that your life is still full, meaningful, and worth every minute. Step 3. Do something just for yourself every day. When someone starts to devalue you, it's easy to lose sight of how important your own self-worth really is. You might stop enjoying activities you once loved or put your own needs last, thinking no one is noticing anyway. But here's a quiet truth. When you begin to treat yourself with care and show that you matter, others gradually begin to recognize your value as well. This doesn't have to be anything big or complicated. It can be something as simple as savoring your morning coffee quietly on the porch, just for yourself. Maybe you decide to pick up painting again, or revisit a favorite walking trail you had stopped going to. It could be as small as wearing your favorite shirt, even if no one is around to see it. These small actions send a powerful message, not to others, but to yourself, that you are still here, you still matter, and your life still holds meaning. I recall Frank, an 81-year-old man who lost his wife a few years prior. Although his children cared for him, their calls had become less frequent and he felt forgotten. One day, Frank started making Sunday dinners just for himself. He lit candles, played old jazz records, and cooked his favorite meals. One neighbor dropped by occasionally, then others began to join, and soon those dinners turned into a welcoming gathering spot. Through this simple act, Frank didn't just rediscover his joy, he also drew others back into his life. You don't have to explain why you're making these changes. The important thing is to start. When others see you treating your life with respect and care, they're reminded that you aren't fading away. You're blossoming once again. Step 4. Stop explaining yourself. One of the easiest ways we unintentionally give away our power is by constantly explaining ourselves to those who have already made up their minds not to listen. You find yourself trying to justify why you're hurt, why you need certain things, or why you feel upset. But when someone stops valuing you, your words often don't make an impact. They simply pass by unnoticed. The important shift is to stop justifying yourself. You don't owe anyone an explanation for needing rest, setting boundaries, or saying no. You don't have to prove that you deserve respect or kind treatment. The more you explain, the more you diminish your own power because you're essentially asking for permission to feel what you already know is true. There's a quiet strength in making firm decisions without over-explaining. Take Eleanor, 75, for example. When she told her younger sister she wouldn't be lending money again, she didn't recount all the past loans or the stress they caused. She simply said, "No, not this time." The silence that followed was uncomfortable, but it was also powerful. That moment marked the point where Eleanor stopped defending herself and started honoring her own needs. When you speak less but with intention, your words carry more weight. You don't need to shout or argue. You just let your choices stand on their own. Ironically, once you stop over-explaining, people often begin to listen more carefully. Your boundaries shift from being requests to firm truths. You become someone who doesn't ask for respect. You simply expect it. And this subtle change can transform your relationships and how others treat you. If you're finding these insights helpful, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us keep creating valuable content for you. Let's keep going. Step 5. Change the routine they expect. Often people stop valuing you not because they dislike you, but because they've grown too accustomed to your predictable presence. When you always answer the phone immediately, say yes to every favor, or quietly listen without speaking up, others begin to take these behaviors for granted. What becomes expected fades into invisibility, and that's where the problem lies. The solution is to gently disrupt this routine, not out of anger or revenge, but with quiet awareness. Do something slightly different that draws attention to the fact that your presence is a choice, not an automatic given. For instance, if you're usually the one who calls first, try pausing for a few days before reaching out. If you normally accept every invitation, consider declining once or twice. If you tend to listen quietly without sharing, start offering your thoughts, even if they seem small or insignificant. These shifts aren't punishments, they're subtle reminders that you are here intentionally. Take Margaret, a 79-year-old woman, for example. For years, her daughter would drop off the grandkids, chat briefly, then rush away. Margaret helped with cooking, cleaning, and homework, but felt invisible, like a background character. One day, she simply didn't answer the door because she was out enjoying time for herself. The following week, her daughter arrived earlier, stayed longer, and genuinely asked how Margaret was doing. By breaking the routine, Margaret created space for her daughter to see her differently, not just as a helper, but as a person with her own life. It doesn't take dramatic actions to change how others treat you, just small, intentional shifts that say, "I'm here by choice, not on autopilot." When people notice this, they often begin to appreciate you in ways they had forgotten. Step 6. Practice kindness with firm boundaries. Kindness is a powerful and beautiful quality. It heals, connects, and shows that bitterness hasn't taken hold in your heart. However, kindness without boundaries often leads to pain, especially as we grow older. Many of us were raised to be generous and helpful without expecting much in return. While this generosity is admirable, it can sometimes become a trap where others stop seeing you as an individual and instead view you as a convenience. The key is to remain kind, but stop being available in ways that drain your peace and well-being. You can express care and still say no. You can offer assistance while protecting your own time and energy. Kindness doesn't mean being a doormat. It means giving warmth from a place of strength and choice, not obligation. Consider Harold, an 80-year-old man with a neighbor who frequently asked for rides, favors, and errands. At first, Harold was glad to help, but as the requests became constant and gratitude diminished, he began feeling taken for granted. One day, he calmly told his neighbor, "I'm happy to help once this week, but I can't do it regularly." The neighbor was surprised but accepted his boundary. Harold continued to show kindness, but now on his own terms. This kind of kindness with boundaries doesn't shut people out. Instead, it invites them into the space you've intentionally created. It preserves your energy while still spreading light and care. Often, boundaries actually strengthen relationships. They prevent resentment, bring clarity, and teach others how to respect and love you without draining you. If you find yourself kind but exhausted, helpful but resentful, it's a sign to reset. You deserve to give in ways that feel good to you, not just ways that make others comfortable. If you're finding these ideas helpful, please comment number 6 below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us keep creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Now let's continue. Step 7. Speak less, but let your words carry weight. There's a subtle strength in someone who talks less, but puts meaning into every word. When you feel undervalued, the instinct might be to explain yourself, to argue your worth, or to try to convince others. However, often the most powerful approach is to let your calm actions and carefully chosen words speak for you. When you speak less, but with intention, people start paying closer attention. They notice not only what you say, but also the weight of what you leave unsaid. Take Clara, 76, for example. She used to be the family peacemaker, sending long messages trying to resolve conflicts and smooth over misunderstandings. But it drained her emotionally. One day, instead of over-explaining, she simply said, "That didn't feel right to me," and left it at that. No lengthy justifications, no pressure. Surprisingly, that brief statement had more impact than all her previous explanations combined. Why? Because it was honest and came from a place of self-respect. Speaking less doesn't mean shutting down or retreating. It means standing firm. You don't have to defend your choices to people who keep doubting your value. You don't have to fill silences just to make others comfortable. Instead, let your voice be calm, your words simple, and your presence speak volumes, showing that you know your worth, whether others acknowledge it or not. This way of communicating might not instantly change how everyone treats you, but it transforms the energy you bring into any situation. It signals to others that you aren't desperate for attention. You already see and respect yourself. Often, this quiet confidence is exactly what draws others to notice and appreciate you again. Final thoughts. As we conclude this video, take a moment to think about the 7 simple yet powerful strategies we've discussed. Which one resonated with you the most? Which do you feel ready to start applying in your own life? Perhaps it's embracing silence instead of over-explaining, protecting your time more carefully, or dedicating a little time each day to remind yourself of your worth. Whatever it is, remember this: your value hasn't disappeared. It may have been overlooked or taken for granted, but it remains strong. Sometimes all it takes is one small change, a pause, a boundary, a new habit, for others to recognize your worth again. More importantly, it helps you reconnect with your own sense of self. We'd love to hear from you. What's one key insight you gained today, and how do you plan to bring it into your life this week? Your reflections and experiences aren't just meaningful to us. They inspire and support everyone in our community who's on a similar journey of growth and self-discovery. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd really appreciate hearing your thoughts. Feel free to leave a comment below sharing one takeaway and how you'll apply it in your life. Your input matters and truly inspires us to keep going. If you found this video useful or meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Your support helps us continue producing content designed to inform, uplift, and connect. We're grateful you joined us and look forward to seeing you again soon in our next video.